Path Solutions has over 2 decades of experience building network monitoring systems designed to give you total network visibility. TotalView's automation means it can be fully deployed and configured in minutes, monitoring every device, interface, and server in your entire infrastructure. And it goes deep, collecting performance, configuration, 19 different error counters, PoE, and QoS statistics on every single interface. Now, all of this information is automatically analyzed to produce plain English answers. Problems get solved faster because more information and intelligence is brought to bear. This is what total network visibility is all about, knowing more about your network than with any other solution. TotalView is easy to acquire, as everything is included in the core offering: NetFlow, diagramming, path mapping, server monitoring, network automation, IPAM, cloud service monitoring, and more. Putting your trust in a monitoring system can require a leap of faith. From inception, TotalView has a more secure architecture and build process that helps to protect their customers. Contact Path Solutions today, where you can learn more about their competitive upgrade program, Total Network Visibility, rapidly deployed. Find out more at www.pathsolutions.com. So Tony, when you left, dude, I'm still getting a ton of fan noise, dude. Can you kill a fan?
Let's see.
Is that better? Much better. Yeah, man. So when I left you like a minute ago, there was no mask. So what's the story?
There's COVIDia out there, man.
Yeah, but is it in your office?
No. I have a new facial haircut that I just wanted to warn everybody before I showed everybody. I'm like, I'm bringing 2018 back. Did you do the chin strap thing? You did the chin strap.
Yeah. You did the tail.
I'm bringing 2018 back. Oh, wait, tail? That's where you do like
where it comes
goes
across
down
the mustache,
and around.
Down and around. You did that, didn't you?
Right. I didn't quite do the tail. I
would like kick you off the show. I'd just go on by myself. I'd find someone to replace you like right now if you did the tail.
But I'm definitely taking things back a few hundred years. So I will be the
a few hundred years.
I'll be the only Amish CCIE you know.
Nice.
Yep. I wake up at 4 a.m. I milk the cows, and after they work on my manual plow, then I go and fix routers for a living. Shh, no one needs to know.
Your whole like quarter-acre plot of land with your. Oh man! No, when I first met you, you had chops, didn't you? I'm trying to remember. You had.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Or maybe I had the beard. There was a while I did have a big beard. That was done because of a project. I grow beards with reasons, with purpose, and they're always ridiculous. I grew a beard while my wife was pregnant with my first child, with my son. So for 9 months, I grew a massive beard. And the day after he was born, I drove home from the hospital, shaved, packed a bag, and went back to the hospital to see my wife. I grew another big beard for a big networking project that lasted well over a year. And I say, when I upgrade the last router or whatever we were doing, the last security stack, I'll shave the beard. And that's what I did. And like when it was done, it was done. And this one, actually the full beard, I started growing just on 2021, January 1, not for any reason other than probably laziness of shaving. And then I was just like, you know what? We've been in COVID long enough. I know everyone grew their COVID beards, throughout last year, but I didn't. So I said, I'm just going to grow it until this is all fixed. or I kind of like backed that up the other day with my wife, which was, I'll shave it when I have both my vaccines.
Okay.
So I don't have any yet. So when I get both, I'll shave it. Maybe. And the other thing was, my wife was like, look, she came to me. She's like, look, honey, you really got to shave that off. It's ridiculous. Because my mustache wasn't growing down. It was growing straight out. And so like I couldn't like kiss her or anything. And actually she told me that at dinner time. She's like, honey, you have most of the dinner in your upper lip. I'm like, yeah, it is kind of annoying. I noticed that. So I shaved the upper lip, and you know what? Dude, this is awesome. Like, I get why Amish people do it. This rocks. It keeps my cheeks warm. It keeps my neck. It hides my jiggly neck, and it gives me the pleasure of having a clean upper lip. So if I want to chow down on some ribs or hot wings or something, yeah, it's definitely cool.
So I did here's my confession is that I have not used a razor since the beginning of COVID. I went into like the ultimate lazy mode. Typically I'm completely clean shaven, or there's just a little bit of scruff because I haven't shaved in a couple days, but never have been a beard guy. And so when COVID started, I'm like, who do I have to impress? Like there's just nothing. And by the way, I'm on video and camera all the time. So apparently like I completely just didn't even think about that, but I just let it go. And I can grow them. I just don't like beards. They just get in the way. You just mentioned the mustache stuff. It was driving me crazy. So eventually it was just like, it's just got to go. So what I do is I have like this continual, as you can tell, I'm fairly, just kind of stubble right now. Yeah. It grows until I need a haircut, and then just the clippers.
You go all the way around.
All the way around, and it's gone. and then it grows until the next haircut. So I've been super, super lazy when it comes to shaving for, a year now. You mentioned the vaccine. How's that going in your area? Any hope that you see that anytime soon?
Yeah, there's hope, but not very soon. We're not in the right phase for my age group and my work group. So, every state's doing it a little bit differently, but most have these sort of groupings around age and occupation and stuff like that. So I'm not in the right ones for what's being served right now. So whenever they start the next major phase, which will be, it's not the general population. That's not till the last phase, but I'm a phase or two in front of that. Gotcha. And, my wife handles all that for me, which is all of the administration side of the family business.
She runs everything. Yeah, I got it.
She runs the household. Yep. On top of her day job. So, so she'll tell me when it's time to go. But I know I'm signed up, and I know that when it's time, we'll all be packing in the car to go do it.
Pennsylvania's been a little weird because they started. It's not weird. They're actually following the CDC guidelines. But if you follow the CDC guidelines, it's actually really permissive for the very first group. In fact, it encompasses, I don't know the percentage, but I'd guess it's probably 70 to 80% of Pennsylvanians fit into 1A. So basically, two of the categories, one of them is smoking. So if you smoke regularly, you can get the vaccine in 1A. And obesity, which is not defined as like morbidly obese, but just standard level obesity, which is, I think, like over half of the U.S. population is considered obese, or what. So it's like, okay, well, then you just opened it up to 70%, 80%, something like that of the people that can get it. So, so just about everyone around here is scrambling to find appointments, but they're happening, and they're happening quickly. I've had my first vaccine at Pfizer, and I'm 1 week away from my second shot. So, and lots of people around me. My wife just got her first shot today. So yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, it's finally happening, right? It's a year, almost exactly a year. So we, I have like a monitor up on a wall that is that I use as kind of almost like a family hub digital display. Has a shared calendar that's up there. It has my work calendar up there, so my kids know when I'm in meetings or not, and whether or not to come bother me. And it has a few other things on there, but one of the things I can put on there is a countdown or a count up. and in this case, we put the day that we went into restrictions with COVID, which was 363 days ago. Today. So, wow. So we kind of been keeping an eye on that with the Hallmark. Everyone's kind of been pointing to a year, but it was a Friday. I got home, and I got home from a trip on a Thursday, and that's it. Because on that trip, like everything had hit in the country, and it got a little weird. So yeah, so it's been almost exactly a year. We've made it this far, I guess. Life has changed quite a bit.
Yeah. For us, it's almost also been a year. We might have been a few days behind you, but it was a day or two after my wife's birthday, which is coming up. So that's when we started, and I can't believe it. Almost a year like this. I mean, it could always be worse, right? Could always. I mean, I try to look on the bright side. Could always be worse.
I see Carl's in the chat. Hey, Carl, man, how you doing?
He is, yeah.
Yeah. can't remember the last time I
what?
talked to Carl. It's been a long time. It's good to see you, man.
I've talked to him on chat a few times, not very often, and probably the last time I saw him in person was Network Field Day. I think Network Field Day.
It's Networking Field Day. Stephen Foskett will have a word with you if you don't get it right. It's Networking Field Day.
But he's not here on premise to talk to me.
Oh boy, you're just trying, aren't you? You're gunning for it. So you asked who was around, and Ray says the internet is here, so no pressure. But apparently the entire internet is watching the stream tonight.
I'll go
Kevin
buy my
Myers
Tesla.
Carl comes around for the first time in a while, and Kevin Myers starts laying into him about taking down the internet. We did a show. That was like our his war stories, our biggest whatever, and Carl had access to some public equipment and managed to have a oopsie that that didn't just infect the company. Let's see what else is going on. Carl. Nice.
Also, you just mentioned that you have like a digital board in your house that has like your calendar, or work calendar, or family calendar, count ups, countdowns. When are we going to get a demo of that? Is that a DIY project? Is that a DIY project?
It's open source. I mean, I didn't write all the code, but I did, kind of put it all together. It all runs off.
I'm saying, why don't we have a demo? Yeah,
you want to see that?
That's what we need. Yes, absolutely.
It's just a Raspberry Pi. It's an open source project called Magic Mirror. And I'd be happy to show you, kind of put it together and what's there. But yeah,
awesome.
I have another monitor that's sitting just waiting to be mounted. I bought another one for my office because the one that's for the family is very family specific and whatever. I'm like, this would be cool for tracking Network Collective stuff and tracking my work stuff. And, maybe I can put the news on that one because putting the news on the family calendar can be a little scary because you don't know what the headlines are going to be that come around that your kid's going to walk around and be like, yeah. So yeah, that's, it was a neat little project I did. Man, this was pre-COVID, but I did it. Here's why. This is my thing. Me and my wife were a bit different in the way we approach things. My wife is like a pen and paper person. So when she plans things, it's a calendar that she prints out that she writes stuff down on. And I'm like, that's fantastic. I'm somebody who travels for my work. Usually, obviously not in the past year, but usually that calendar that's sitting in Pennsylvania does me no good when I'm in California. I'm like, can we make this electronic in one way or another? But she's like, I like having it on the wall. So what she would do is she'd plan it all out. And then we had like whiteboard calendar that every month she would go and she would update it and she'd put everybody's appointments on. And I'm like, well, either I need to make this electronic so she can have the calendar on the wall so that she knows what's going on, or I'm going to have to get like a webcam that just points at the whiteboard calendar so that I can know what's going on and when it's going on. And so I came across this project. There's a couple of options out there. There's one that's a little bit cleaner and nicer and polished that you pay like every month for. I was like, yeah, that's no fun. So, I went with the open source one and got her to do that calendar. Now we're planning a big trip later this year. And she has a whole notebook a whole notebook of trips of like where we're going to drive to, how long the drive is, what type of resources are where we're going, because we're doing it in an RV. Like, I mean, it's like this big whatever. I'm like, this doesn't work. And so Tony, you'll appreciate this. I introduced her to Airtable. And
nice.
We took the entire thing and put it into an Airtable database and with all kinds of cross-referencing. And I'm like, then I'm starting to figure out like, okay, how long between having water for the RV when we're boondocking, how long between propane stops, like that kind of stuff, because now I have all the information in there. I'm like, see, it's so much better when it's electronic. I can't search your piece of paper. Oh, man.
Someone in the chat, do you have Zerotier up on the stream machine?
I do.
I don't think so. You do?
I absolutely do. I checked before I started.
All right. Someone in the chat says there's a brewery in Long Beach. You want to pull that up? Let's see if I can get on. A
Lumbus? Is that Pete Lumbus? A Lumbus? I don't know.
It's one of them. It's A Lumbus.
It's one of the Lumbus clan. There's a brewery. Oh, Long Beach. It absolutely has to be Pete Lumbus. He doesn't live there anymore, but he used to live there.
Yeah. But that is definitely a cool project that you need to share. Yeah, I'm interested in that.
All right.
That's cool. I am a Lumbus. Specifically Pete Lumbus. Very cool.
All right. Very cool. All right.
So I wanted to share a little bit about my fun home networking project. This won't take long, but just kind of wanted to update everyone.
You want to do that now, or do you want to do that after trivia? We need a gap to be able to get people on.
Okay.
So
we can. No. We can do it. No, I just want to talk. I just want to talk about a home networking project. I don't want to demo it.
Okay. The demo's later.
And say, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And what I wanted to bring up was, I bought a new printer recently. I can't remember the last time I bought a printer. Actually, the printers that I'm getting rid of are probably like 8 years old. So I've had really good luck with printers. I specifically get laser printers.
I was going to say, it has to be a laser if it's 8 years old.
Yeah, laser does a great job. HP has been really reliable for me. And it's what I've been using. So I bought a new HP color laserjet printer. And I had told you about this, but the other day I had taken a picture of it and put it on Twitter and said, new printer, new VLAN, because I sort of
Only
taking this as right. So I'm taking this moment, right. And I think most people can kind of relate to this. That's why I wanted to bring it up. When you get a new piece of hardware to bring into your enterprise, it's, first of all, it's, sort of security 101, segment the network, right? You don't want to put it in the same VLAN as your users or your servers and other stuff. You want to be able to isolate it and put proper ingress and egress ACLs towards it and from it. So, but like most networking engineers, when a new piece of hardware gets purchased and needs to be integrated, that's also the thing, sometimes that is the catalyst, which starts the waterfall of changes, right? That
you
needs to
rebuilt
happen.
The whole network, didn't you?
Yeah. So what started off as I could have just taken the printer out of the box, either connected it with a cable or via Wi-Fi, whatever's my choice, had it pull an IP via DHCP and printed within minutes. No, that's not what we did.
So how long did this project last, Tony?
Well, I think I started around 3 p.m. and I was definitely done by midnight.
and that's just adding a VLAN. That's where it started.
Yeah. That's where it started. So there's a little bit of scope creep. And then what always happened, and this is so relatable, like while I was doing it, I was like, God, I've been here so many times. Why do I keep doing this to myself? But I keep thinking, like, this is my home. I don't have to worry about, taking things out of scope at home. I got to worry about that at work. So, so what started as a simple adding a VLAN turned into needing to troubleshoot devices. And that was the problem. And that led into a few hours of troubleshooting. That led into rebooting devices that I didn't plan on rebooting that night, causing outages across the network, which is just my home network, and it shouldn't matter. But, I take pride in uptime. Like you have a board schedule on a board that counts uptime of my network. So when all come over, they know, just how long my network's been up. And so it hours and I switches console port wasn't working. Yeah, it was very strange.
Hey Tony, you're pretty laggy, man. Just to let you know, I don't know what's going on, but you're kind of dropping in and out, and we're getting close to the robot effect. Oh no. Yeah.
All right.
So I think that, so here, Carl says, do you have the spouse approved change window? It's funny how our home networks become our production networks, and you can't run them without without getting a clear approval for downtime. And he says more than 10. Yeah, here we go. More than 10 minutes. You can't get the family cab to approve it. Love it.
Yeah,
all right, Tony.
Yeah.
What I think I'm going to do, man, is I think I'm going to cut to trivia. I'm going to let you troubleshoot what's going on with you and your computer and connectivity, and see if we can't get something resolved. And then hopefully we get you back. Otherwise, this might be a short show.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna do trivia. So if you guys aren't familiar with what we do here, we run a round of trivia. It is a qualifier round of trivia. Anybody and everybody can participate. So let me go ahead and actually bring that up. So here that's the pin. So you're going to go to kahoot.it, and on that, when you go there, you're going to put in that pin. Everybody's welcome to play. Kevin says, get that man a micro tick. It's the answer to every networking problem when you're when you're Kevin Myers. Oh, ouch. Chris Miles said they tried to install a printer at the OVH Cloud data center last night. Oh, that's probably. Oh, I see that name. L2 DCI to Mars. That's no. All right. So anyway, so everyone is welcome to join in on this game. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to get connected. And the idea is we'll do this general qualifier, and the two highest scores from this round we'll invite on later in the show to come on and do it live. We'll bring you on the video, and we'll make it happen. So let's see here. Got some more people showing up, which is good. Go ahead and take that tweet down. Why am I not asleep? If that's anyone other than Thomas. Looks like we got some new people too. That's awesome. All right. Giving everyone a few minutes. So I see you have beer now, Tony. Your wife brought you beer.
Yes, she did. She brought me beer. I texted frantically. She asked me if it could wait till after her show, and I said, I'm really thirsty.
Well, cheers.
Yeah, definitely. It's so hot in here. I'm telling you, it's so hot, and that's part of the reason why I'm lagging. The computer's overheating. So there we go.
Everyone's going to have to deal with the fan noise, I guess. It's not that bad now. All right. Somebody's in his inkjet. I love it. We'll give it just one more minute. All right. And while we're waiting, we should get some music started. Tony's in. All right, we're going to get it started.
I don't remember coming up with new questions, so I hope you took care of it.
Oh, I did. Name of this quiz is Shiny Domes, Tony, just for you. All right, so first question. We got 12 questions in the first round. So Nokia was founded in 1865, and its primary business was what? I'm going horse saddles. Just saying. Look at that distribution. Paper products. That is correct. They made paper products.
They were like the prehistoric Dunder Mifflin.
It's something like that. And now they do all of the signaling for the microchip that Bill Gates put in the virus or in the vaccine. So
nice.
That's their product now.
Nice.
All right. Nicely done. Good start. MySpace, man. Those were the times. It's back when social media didn't absolutely sell you out. Or maybe they did, we just didn't know about it.
These are good questions. I have no idea.
Thank you. The paint is still wet. I did all these probably about an hour ago. Oh, no, an hour and a half ago. Look at that. Majority knew that one.
Wow, I'm a big old zippy for this one. 0 points for me.
All right. This one's you, Tony.
Yeah, I think I do have this one. And I used my video advantage, which is I get the stream a little bit quicker than the YouTube people.
Look at that. 100%.
All right.
All right. This one's not going to be 100%.
There's always like a, why do I need to know this? Not again.
Yeah, you noticed?
All these guys are It's a shame I didn't register my nickname as Laserjet, so we can have like an inkjet Laserjet.
Versus Laserjet?
Yep.
One.
Wow.
One got it right. A bunch of people got tripped up. 520. And you might want to just keep this in the back of your brain, seeing as that there's kind of a trend to our questions. 520 was the UTV port for RIP. Not RIP-NG. All right.
There's my song.
It is, man.
I'm getting pumped up.
You're getting pumped up. Average age of a gamer in the U.S.
I feel like these numbers are way too high. They don't go lower, like 10 or 11.
Average. That would be the low end. There are some of us older people who do play games occasionally. I didn't go lower. I didn't go lower. It was the highest number on the chart, man. I was shocked by this.
I don't believe it. That's
it absolutely. Well, think about it. This is the generation that grew up with games. With video game consoles, man. All right. Grave Rose.
Look who's on
it.
fire.
I know. I don't like that L2DCI to Mars is second, though. That's bothering me. It has to be Kevin. Has to be Kevin.
Yeah.
All right.
It wouldn't be the obvious PNG, would it?
I don't know. Actually, I do know, but I'm not going to tell you.
All right, I'm going to go with something. There's a whole psychology of like giving multiple choice answers.
Yep. Yeah, ping.
I got that one, but
there you go.
I still call it PNG. PNG.
No. Can we just kick them out?
It's only 29 points apart.
I understand, but the name is just killing me. It's a bad idea all around, just on the record. Question 7 to 12.
You know who it was. You know who it was. It was me. Now, if I remember correctly, this question was donated by a Network Collective member.
Yeah?
I think.
It's highly likely. Because it certainly wasn't my question.
I think who donated it is not here tonight.
Oh,
So that's a shame.
I'm just not even going to acknowledge it. Let's move it on.
All right, these new Cisco exams trip me up.
This is an advanced meme.
Is that supposed to be like Kevin Myers down there at the bottom? Oh, kiss my arse.
Is that what it is? We got some Cisco certification people on. All right. It's a close game between the top two.
Yeah.
I still think it's anybody's. We're through 8. So continuing my trend, Tony.
Yeah. So if anyone goes back, not like anyone would or has a reason to, but if you find yourself going through my Twitter timeline, there's a picture of me and a clock. I made a clock, but instead of the hours, I put the subnet masks of the CIDR notation of the number.
So like /1, /2, /3.
So instead of that, for example, at 1 o'clock, it says 128.0.0.0.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes all the way around to the /12. And
Nice.
and in the background of it is like a bunch of messy network cables. And I take it to conferences, like when my company does conferences and I go, I bring all my I don't know what you call it, accoutrement. Like I have all these like little things you put on tables, and they're great because people come up to you and they look at it and they go, and they're not sure, or someone walks by and they're like, huh, I get it.
Yeah.
They walk up.
You get the one quick, and it was all worth it.
Yeah, so it's a great conversation starter, to bring someone up to your booth, put something at your table worth talking about. Don't just put your pamphlets. Let me give you a piece of business advice, anyone who's out there doing trade shows. Don't just put your pamphlets and swag and stupid pens and stuff. Put something on there worth having a conversation about, even if it's not related to your business, because that's how you build a relationship. Start the conversation. And I got lots of conversation starters. My entire table is conversation starters. Oh, you don't like the clock? Try this one. Pull it out.
All right. I'm even further convinced that this is Kevin at the top because he knew right off the bat what CIDR notation of /1 was, which is something we see more.
Right, maybe we should do a trivia on what is the proper pronunciation of CIDR.
Oh, yeah. It goes either way, right? So.
No, it doesn't.
No?
It's DC, man. One way.
I disagree, but okay.
I actually never thought that the black box was anything but a black box, but actually it makes sense to make it a different color. Yeah.
Uh-huh. All right. This one I found fascinating. Exactly. You just blinked almost your entire allotment just now.
Really?
Yeah.
This is fascinating. Fascinating. In a minute. Yeah. Okay.
One person got it right 7 times a minute.
I went on the high side. I went 20 because I'm a heavy blinker.
All right, last question, last chance. I think Grave Rose is the only one who can actually catch up at this point, but let's see. I felt like it was a good time to bring the inverse here. You got to know the opposite. So if you're a non-computer user, if you're not using a computer, how many times do you blink in a minute?
Naturally, I would go, you should answer the other end of the spectrum, but I wonder if this is a trick.
Maybe. Now I haven't answered my eye because I've been thinking about it. It's awesome. Look at that. You were correct in your inclination.
And you know what? I didn't guess that number. I totally took the bait. Yep. I went with 13 this time.
All right. So coming out here, L2 DCI to Mars. Nicely done. But Network Geek took second place at the last minute.
That's fantastic.
I didn't think that it was even possible to come back in and make that happen. So that is very, very, very impressive. So we're gonna. All right. That's probably also worthy of a.
Well done.
Yeah, we need a well done. All right. So I'm just gonna go out. Oh, let's see. Let's go take a look at Network Geek taking it. Let's see. Okay,
I'm trying to understand what Tom was saying. Tom said the fact that color names don't correspond to the colors of the answers upsets me.
Oh yeah.
What color names? Am I missing it?
In the question, when I asked what color was the black box and I gave color options, yellow was not on the yellow box. So you had to if I said orange, and you had to click a blue or a green box or something like that. That's the dissonance was bothering.
Carl's the Network Geek? Patience.
Oh, Carl, are you the Network Geek? Okay, cool. And Kevin in the Slack did admit that he was L2 DCI to Mars. I'm pretty confident he did that just to piss me off on purpose. We have conversations about L2 all the time. All right. So Carl.
I say join stream late, but layer 2 DC to Mars. What are you trying to indicate? It's too funny?
Yeah, I don't know.
SpaceX LAN? Instead of VX LAN, SpaceX LAN? Wow.
L2 spanning tree to Mars. So Carl, where am I connected with you, Carl? Carl, you're not on the Network Collective Slack, are you? I don't know. I'll get info to you, Carl, one way or another. You're going to come on and join us. You're going to go head to head with Kevin for the final prize here in a minute. Well, not the prize, to win this week and to be eligible to play for the final prize at the end of the month, which is a year-long supporter membership to Network Collective. It's not such a bad thing. Yeah, not such a bad thing at all. So I will get that happening here. Just as soon as we get into Tony's demo. So Tony, are you ready?
Oh my gosh, am I ready?
Are you ready? I mean, it's time. I mean, the other thing we can do is we talk about news for a little while.
Yeah, there's been a lot of interesting things going on in the news lately. A lot of security things going on in the news. It's actually hard to keep up with them. There's so much going on.
I feel like our news segment, our whole show is about networking, except for our news segment, which is about what hack happened this week.
Yeah, wait a second. My daughter made me a thing. Hang on.
Oh, okay. We're gonna wait for you to go grab whatever it is that his daughter made. Oh, that was quick. Did you mute yourself?
Since we were doing the news, I had my daughter make me a news microphone.
Is NCN Network Collective News?
Network Collective News Break. I'm nice. Tony Fantis with a Network Collective News Break.
Oh, very, very nice.
There's been a data center burnt down in France.
Yeah, what a story.
A lot of lost packets there. A lot of lost packets. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever seen a data center burned to the ground like that. So it's something that's made headline news anyways. And OVH is a huge hosting provider.
Right. This is like a colo / hosting, like this is where you go and you pay a fortune for the privilege to be in a space where the environmentals are taken care of for you. That's literally what you're paying for, right? You're paying for connectivity. You're paying for power. You're paying for cooling. You're paying for fire suppression. And apparently fire suppression wasn't on the list of things that people were paying for to be part of this data center, or they were, and they didn't get their money's worth. And this particular data center and this particular provider, I guess, kind of has some sketchy associations with copyright infringement as well. So I was seeing that. I don't know too much about it, so if I'm wrong, I apologize now. But I guess that there's been multiple cases where this was like kind of one of the go-to places if you had content that might be taken down other places to go host. So that's interesting. But apparently fire suppression either didn't work or was incapable of stopping whatever happened, because the whole place is gone. And I'm just like, that makes my head explode thinking about data centers that I've been in the past, like how impactful that is.
Actually, I'm struggling with that, which is, if you've been in a data center, there's not a lot of flammable stuff around, right? They're normally metal racks. I'm trying to think that, there's not like, bales of hay in the corner. There's not, there's not rooms full of there's not rooms full of copier paper. There's not a lot of things to burn. I mean, there's cabling, most of the servers are metal. I mean,
disciplined colos make you manage your cardboard. There's so much cardboard that goes in and out of a data center that it actually completely is a fire hazard. And so I think that when looking at, this type of event, like that's the only thing I can point to, is that if there was, a significant amount of cardboard on the floor that could maintain the fire. But I don't know. It's complete speculation, because I'm with you. It's metal racks, it's metal gear. The cables are, they're plastic, not particularly flammable.
If the cables caught fire, it wouldn't have burnt down the building, I don't think. I'm not an expert, but I don't think. I'm just sort of wondering. I mean, it's very unfortunate, but it's been a wave of large events in our industry this week, and this is just another one to add. I hope that no one was injured. I hope merely packets. It's very interesting. This is a good question here, right? So, John, nice to see you, man. So when things like this happen, there are usually ripples that cause changes across the specific industry, which is true, because it's one of those things that, we know something can happen, but we don't really take it fully seriously until it does happen. I mean, this is usually one of the problems with like disaster recovery planning, is the fact that people think about all the things that could happen. They try to imagine everything, but they don't ever actually fully test their plan. So they don't run into like the hiccups and the things that they weren't planning for. I don't know how you test whether or not your data center is flammable or not, short of lighting it on fire, which I don't recommend. But, like, what is the impact moving forward? And, here, let me get to the very end of the chain of the impact. Co-location and hosting is going to get more expensive. That's the end chain of this impact, because there's going to be further systems that have to go into place to make sure that this doesn't happen. But I will say that, like, as I've had conversations with anybody about colo space or talking about data centers, you talk about cloud, you talk whether you're building on-prem, you plan for the eventual outcome that data center is not going to be there. And there's lots of, lots of sample examples about how this happens, but a fire is a common one. When you talk about there's a fire that takes something out, or, some sort of major natural disaster that takes a data center out, like, you have to plan for this. And so I think that we're seeing a lot of companies who are also probably scrambling because they thought they had their DR plan down or their business continuity plan down. But it's all on paper and hasn't actually been tested in, the entire time that they've had it. And now, well, I imagine tonight's a night that a lot of people are scrambling to rebuild all kinds of different systems. Yeah. And I'm wondering just like how much of OVH is affected, right? There are really large facilities. Is that just one of many facilities? Like, for example, if one building of Equinix went down, that doesn't affect, well, I say that doesn't affect all of Equinix because it likely would shift some things around. But obviously they're still in business the next day. They still have lots of other resources, and they start the rebuild process. So I wonder, like, how impactful to OVH was this? Was this their one building? Was this their large site? Or was this just one of many sites that they have? And, are snapshots and backups of customer servers?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, obviously, if it's your server, you probably have to maintain all that. But, all the virtual servers that they offer, VPSs and such, often there's a pay for backup service.
That's usually in the same location. That's one of those things. So it looks like Thomas is on. I'm assuming he was, why am I still awake or whatever. And he says supposedly a PDU started arcing. In fact, I could just throw it up there. And kept arcing until his server room was on fire, and it just went from there. So, I mean, there's plenty of risk of fire in a data center, right? Like, there's tons of electricity, all these gigantic machines, lots of things that are spinning that can cause friction. Like, there's all kinds of things. We joke about electronics, about letting the magic smoke out. Well, what is that? That's right on the edge of being a fire, right? Because something somewhere got too much current or started rubbing the wrong way. It happens all the time in technology, but the other stuff isn't flammable, like you said. So I think that's interesting. I wonder how many people are doing this. I just counted. I definitely blinked more than 7 times in the last 60 seconds.
Yeah, I'm a heavy blinker. Yeah, 20, 20 maybe. 20 on the low side. But there was a lot going on in the news. There's Hafnium. Hafnium is the name that they're given. Yep, Microsoft Exchange, 4 days attacking Microsoft Exchange.
So let me ask you a question. Who is still managing the Exchange server? And why?
Well, apparently more than 30,000 public Exchange servers, I don't know if that was just the US or if that was a quick scan of global IP space, but yeah, more than 30,000 people. Not just people, I should say organizations.
Is it 30,000 organizations or 30,000 servers? Because I'll tell you what, I came up
how it was
managing.
counted was a global IPv4 scan of Microsoft Exchange servers that were vulnerable, more than 30,000. And the thing is if you were one of those IPs, consider yourself already owned, right?
Completely.
Unless you can prove otherwise, consider yourself already owned.
So, so I came up the path that started with generalist and got more focused as I went along. I have spent more than my fair amount of time managing Exchange servers. And as somebody who's lived that pain, that is the source of my question is who in the world is managing their own Exchange servers? Because ROI to cost to whatever, Office 365, like, oh my word, like, every day and twice on Sunday, like I'll make the decision to let someone else manage that nightmare because it is a nightmare. I have had the fun of having Exchange databases go offline and trying to recover them and recovering from backup. And it is an absolute mess, and it's not any better. And so I was surprised. I understand some people are still running them. I'm kind of being a bit tongue in cheek, but what is interesting is how many. I was shocked that it was double-digit thousands of servers that were compromised, because not every server was compromised, right? This is a portion of the overall footprint that was out there, and I never dreamed that like under half would be a number like 30,000. Like that just is a huge number for me. That is. So yeah, John says if we answered that, what does that say about us? It's not an accusation. I'm not accused. I've lived the pain of managing it. So I can't imagine having the option of having someone else manage it for, it's not that much more expensive than what it costs to run your own Exchange server. Why you wouldn't? I just don't understand the economics of not doing that. And it would be one thing to say, hey, Office 365 has only been out for a year or 2 years. Sometimes, it's got to get the momentum to make the change. That's not the case anymore. It's been around for a long time. If you are still running Exchange, you're doing it willfully. And that just doesn't compute in my head. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I just know, a lot of organizations have regulations around data, and so they still host them. They still host them internally. So, but it's very important to know that if you are managing an Exchange server or have them within your network, consider them owned, right? Consider them already compromised, and that the patches that were released,
Pete, it's not
22,000 of those are my spam machines.
So don't worry about it. It's not as big of a deal. Pete, I'm assuming you had backups. You'll be able to rebuild from scratch. I mean, I would hate to see the total number of spam email drop dramatically. But I hope you're all okay there.
But the recommendation here is apply the Microsoft patches that were released. And it's important to know that just patching alone is not enough to fix, right? You also have to remediate. You have to do incident response on those servers.
So patching is closing the door. But
patching is closing the door. Now you
already
still have to kick people out.
Yeah, if someone's already through the door,
now you still have to
deal with the people inside. Yeah,
exactly. And so make sure you perform the proper remediation, and that's very important because something that Jordan and I had talked about the other day was, while a lot of organizations probably have the talent and in-house skill and resources to host their own Exchange server, right? They have good Windows folks, they got Microsoft certified people, they got good server folks, been around a long time, and they can manage their own Exchange server with relative ease. Now, are those same people the ones you rely on for incident response? Can those people do the remediation? I bet those people can apply the patches, but I'm not sure if those people can do the proper remediation. So make sure you call a professional, make sure you get in touch with the right people. This is super important because the escalation to that exploit is straight to system. And they said there's no proof of concept out there. Well, all over Twitter, and I'm sure that came from IRC chats in the dark web as well. There's a proof of concept out there, and with about 30 minutes of tweaking, someone was able to get system with the proof of concept exploits that are out there today. And
so you're saying it's already in Metasploit, and off we go.
Probably next week. Next week it'll be in Metasploit, right? So start the remediation. It's very, very important.
There's actually some good advice here. I like this advice. The best way to maintain an Exchange database is to send and receive no email. I agree with that. You are being nominated for a parody account, by the way. The on-prem Exchange server parody account, and apparently that needs to be you. So there you go. You have a new responsibility. Yeah. I also have another parody account called Big Honking Firewall. Remember that? I do. How has it not been used?
Yeah, that's still active.
Yeah,
it's still out there. As soon as I find a reason for it.
All right, that's cool.
Maybe I'll tweet out there, I should have stopped the Exchange exploit.
So here, Preston providing some maybe some context of why it might be on site. Financial and legal folks tend to want to know where their data actually is, and that's true. But to think that Microsoft and Office 365 and hosted Exchange hasn't navigated the waters of compliance and regulation is, I think, a thin excuse in 2021. They definitely have. They're doing it for some of the biggest organizations in the world. And as a very good counterpoint, John says, I know where my data is. It's somewhere in China. So also a very, very good, fair counterpoint there. And here, Kevin Myers, absolutely. 100%. This is my sentiment exactly. I'd rather restore an entire data center from 500 backup tapes one at a time than manage an Exchange server. Yes. yes, absolutely. And this is, this too. Chad is on fire today. So can't find the tweet, but a paraphrase I saw recently. The only company on the planet qualified to manage Exchange is Microsoft, and I agree with that as well. Yeah. As being someone who has run Exchange, I am not qualified to run Exchange in any way, shape, or form. Sorry to the organizations who paid me to do so. You paid an unqualified person to do so. Okay. I love our chat during the show. It's a little distracting sometimes, but it's awesome. All right. So Tony, I did want to talk about one other thing before we get to your demo, but your demo is going to come next. So if you need to, excuse me, if you need to prep, I think the thing I want to talk about, there was last week there was some hubbub across the interwebs after a networking field day presentation by Network to Code. Now, full disclosure, Network to Code does release a show with Network Collective. They produce it. They record. We release it. So like it's a partnership between the two of us. But I had this sentiment regardless of that relationship. I just feel like it's important to kind of disclose there's a relationship there before I go forward. The guys from
I mean, there was a big thing
it was a big
last
thing.
week. Yeah.
So let's
it blew up.
Let's start here. Let's talk about what actually happened. So there is a really popular source of truth application that was developed a few years back called Netbox. Probably most people are familiar with it. It's open source, it's free, and it's wildly popular. It was developed from the network team at DigitalOcean, so a small cloud provider. Someone we use, right? We host all of our Network Collective contents in DigitalOcean. So like that's where we're at. So we're very, very familiar with DigitalOcean from a service perspective. And at the time, one of the people that was there, who was kind of spearheading the effort to build Netbox is Jeremy Stretch. So Jeremy Stretch is a great guy, and he has contributed a ridiculous amount of valuable content to the broader networking community. So if you have done CCIE study, I guarantee you have landed at Stretch's blog, packetlife.net, right? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, yep,
he created cheat sheets for routing protocols and other protocols that I still use to this day. They're phenomenal, really, really like one-page synopsis of all the things you need to know. And so Stretch is a phenomenal contributor to the networking community. So just start there. And he played a huge role, and he's the primary maintainer of Netbox. Now, he built it as part of his daily duties at DigitalOcean. Eventually, I guess, outgrew that, or there was just a time for a change, and ended up going and working for Network to Code, I think for just about a year. I don't think it was very long that he was there, but he went there and worked there. And in that, Network to Code had put some effort, and they were paying him to maintain Netbox. Like that was part of the arrangement. He continued maintaining Netbox even though he left DigitalOcean where it was built. And so like there was kind of a shift here. Now in open source projects, like just because a company has someone who's contributed, it doesn't mean that it belongs to that company. So Netbox is not DigitalOcean's. Like they don't own it. If they wanted to own it, they would have licensed it differently. They open sourced it. So it was there. Stretch moved on, was working on it at Network to Code. And apparently, and I don't know the whole story, but apparently there is a split of directions between what Stretch wanted to do with Netbox and what Network to Code wanted to do around Netbox. And so Network to Code forked Netbox and has called it Not a Bot, which I think is kind of funny. We'll stop there for a second.
Let's take a pause right there, because that's where the bloodbath ensued. That's where it blew up on Reddit. That's where it grew legs on Twitter.
No,
and
it wasn't just really because they forked it. Now let's be clear.
That's true. Yep.
So they forked this project, which is not an uncommon thing with an open source project. I think some people were disappointed because we're seeing two great entities in the networking world, people who have contributed a lot kind of go different directions, where if they were to align their directions, we get one tool that had more features rather than having to make a decision between one or the other. And I can understand that sentiment. Like that's disappointing. But at the end of the day, if the incentives don't align, then you're going to end up with two products. Just the way that it is. Like you can like it, you can not like it, but it's not like no one's bad in that part of the story, but it can be a little disappointing. The thing that came out that was negative, and the thing that was, I'll say completely and rightfully acknowledges kind of the problem with what happened is that when Network to Code forked Netbox, they got rid of the entire commit history. So it was like they were starting from scratch. They acknowledged where it came from. They acknowledged that, hey, this is a fork of Netbox. They acknowledged Stretch, but they didn't acknowledge any other contributor. There's hundreds of contributors, people who've written small pieces of code, people who've worked on documentation, people who've contributed it, and they did not bring along that commit history. Now, that is not the norm when you fork an open source piece of software, right? The norm is that you would bring that commit history along. You'd start from there, and here's your dividing point, and off you go. But not legally. It's not legally required. There's not anything in the rules around open source software and the licenses that are there that says you have to maintain that commit history. But man, it didn't look good. So even though I think Network to Code was in the right from a legal perspective, there's a difference between a legal perspective and how it looks. And it looked really, really bad because it looked like they were just dismissing all of the previous contributions of people who had made it what it was. And so definitely, like, I don't have any qualms with the people who took exception to that. Kind of what I do have some qualms with is how the community responded. And I think it's a broader, I think it's not just networking. I think it's like a broader social thing right now that we don't give anybody the benefit of the doubt or an opportunity to explain themselves. And I'll stand and I'll say that decision to remove the commit history was stupid from the very beginning. But I do know Jason, who started Network to Code. I know many of the guys who are senior people at Network to Code, and they're good people. And they have a long, long history of being solid contributors to the broader networking community, giving code, giving stuff all the time for free, even though they're a business and their consulting is in it to make money. And so I think that, like I watched a big portion of the networking community turn on them in a flash because of one bad decision. And I'll be bluntly honest. I saw that and I go, when is my day? When is the day that I do something not intentional to piss people off, but that pisses people off, and that's it. Network Collective's done. Doesn't matter that there's been years and years and years of contribution, years and years and years of hours and hours putting stuff together, hardly making a dime off of it. And because of one bad decision, you just get canceled. And I don't want to get into the broader whole cancel culture thing, because I think that accountability for actions is not necessarily a bad thing. But I do think that when somebody has a long, long track record of being beneficial contributors, like, we should take a breath and maybe ask why before we throw them under all the wheels of the bus.
That's a very good point. I mean, we should be doing those things. And I say we as part of the internet culture that exists today, we should be doing those things. But I think it's obvious, and this certainly was the case for this, which is, burn them at the stake first, decide whether they were guilty later.
Right.
Or decide whether they were innocent later, but it's always burn them first, drag them through the mud, and then find out what was really going on. And at that point, it just becomes so sort of diluted, that you can never sort of come back from that. Whatever truth is can never be as loud as the people carrying pitchforks at that point. They've all rallied around.
So I read the Reddit thread. Yeah, I want to bring a comment up here, and it's Pete Lumbus, who I absolutely respect, right? And this is, I think that this is a really good, kind of, I think, points at the real issue here. He says, my 2 cents is that it's about Git history, but the reason for the fork wasn't clear. So he didn't understand what Network to Code was doing, and it appeared to be, I won't say combative, but at odds with what Stretch had done and with what Netbox has been to the community. And I think that we do this, we put people up on a pedestal, and I think that people were offended for Stretch. I mean, to be bluntly honest, I think that was really the heart of it more than anything, is that Stretch is well liked and well respected. And Network to Code came out and did something that didn't align with what Stretch wanted. And all of a sudden, we've got our teams, we've got our tribes, and
and so you think people were sort of rallying on behalf of Stretch, even though he didn't ask for it. People were like, "Oh, you know what? I can bash Network to Code for this because look at everything that Stretch has done."
Yeah,
and I even saw some of the comments in Reddit. In fact, like Stretch went on Reddit. Not as his, I think maybe he has more than one username, but he was posting comments and he was like, "Oh, sorry, that's my other account." No,
so what Stretch does is it called NetVerity or something? He started a business. Like he's trying to, like he's trying to, and let me tell you, monetizing any effort around networking is difficult and complex and ripe with challenge. So good luck to Stretch. And it's not an easy or an open source either. He's trying to provide support for Netbox and to find people who will fund it and to not have it tied to a company so that he can continue to contribute in the way that he sees fit. And by all means, man, I hope that happens. I hope that he's able to find the funding to keep going forward, because Netbox is a fantastic product. It's a fantastic thing that, I hope Stretch can make a living off of doing it. Like it's had that kind of that value to the industry. There's no reason why it shouldn't be possible. That is the account he posted from. And I don't blame him, because he posted from his new venture account. He's trying to get that name out there. Like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, he didn't post this himself, but he was definitely in the comments. I saw that too.
Now I'm not an uber nerd, although I'm on a pretty nerdy networking show. But I do believe Verity, doesn't that mean like truth in Latin?
No, it sounds like it. You could fool me if you made the claim.
Me up. Someone in chat back me up.
I want to make sure that's actually what it is. Yeah, NetVerity. I got it right.
All right. Now, did I get it right? Do we both get points today?
I don't know. Let's see. Verity, Latin. Yeah, there it is. Verity is a female first name and a surname. As a first name, it derives from the Latin feminine noun veritas, meaning truth. There you go. Thank you, Google.
You're welcome.
We both get points. So anyway, in all of this, I think my point is this. I don't have any problem with Network to Code forking a product and going and doing their own thing. They should have thought through the git commit thing. That was stupid. They reversed course, though. When they found out that, like, hey, there was some friction here, they listened and they went, you know what? Yeah, that was stupid. And they reversed course. Now, it doesn't mean that sentiment goes away, but at least they did the right thing in the end. Like, I want to see Stretch be successful. I want to see Network to Code be successful. I really wish that those two efforts would align, because I think that's a really powerful force, but clearly it's not going to happen. The two are trying to accomplish different things, and if they can't work together, they can't work together. Like, you can't make people be friends, right? So at the end of the day, like, we're going to end up with two probably great products, and I don't think that it's a bad thing. What I do think is that maybe if I could have any influence whatsoever on the narrative around this, is that take a breath. And if it's somebody who is, has a track record of contributing and being a positive influence or a positive, having a positive effect on the industry, like, maybe ask the question before burning them at the stake. Because I really found that to be really distasteful. And that's just my 2 cents. That was my initial take. And maybe it's because I sit in the shoes of somebody who creates stuff for Network, and I go and I'm like, oh my word, like, what happens? When is my gotcha moment where, I do something that comes across the wrong way? Because I know, like, I do this personally. People misinterpret my actions all the time. It's one of the things that frustrates me the most. Like, in my interactions with people, I'm a generally nice guy. People see me as aggressive. So, like, they assume that what I'm doing is aggressive, and it isn't. And it's just because of the way I come across, and I try not to be that way, but it happens. And I end up in situations where I have to work back away from that.
Whoa, Jordan. Let's slow it down. Tone it down a little bit, my friend.
Exactly. So anyway, there was a comment here that we should try to get Stretch on the show. Stretch has been on the show. Stretch is a really busy guy. If you can imagine, I've tried to get him on multiple times. Usually the answer is I would love to, but timing doesn't work. So we did have him on, but when he was on his official role for Network to Code, he came on and talked about Netbox, I believe. And so he has been on the show. I mean, I would love to give him a platform to talk about this, what he's doing with NetVerity, all whatever. So if he manages to catch wind of the fact that we were talking about him and what's going on here, like, wish him nothing but the best. And I would absolutely love to have him on.
Yeah, and there's a great comment by Ray here.
Yeah. I was just
another
gonna
one.
bring that up as well.
Go ahead. It's really easy for a few hundred trolls on Reddit to feel like the entire internet. I think it wasn't as big of an event as it seems. That's very true. So we call it a big event because this is our domain. This is our domain, and this involves a lot of the people that that we see and that we talk to, and a lot of customers and a lot of friends and colleagues and associates use this and know about this and know these people. So it very much does seem like a very big event involving a lot of people. But you're right. In the grand scheme of things, it's a relatively small thing. But yeah, for us within this domain who only have so much time in the day to get our heads out of the networking view for a few minutes and see what the outside world is doing, this was like all I saw that day. So for me, this was considered a big event, and it's just a matter of perspective.
And I will say that while it is true that, there's a few hundred trolls on Reddit, I'm not even worried about the anonymous people who aren't out there making contributions. To me, it's other people in the industry who jumped on them pretty harshly. And so when I look at this and I say, like, who has influence and who has the ability, like, sure, a Reddit commenter can have some influence, but there are other people in this industry who have built large followings who did this. And I'm disappointed in that because, like, don't you think that could be you? Like at some day down the road, like, don't we, this is just back to the golden rule for me, I guess is really what it comes down to is, if I ever made a decision that came across the wrong way and it was really, truly unintentional, like that was not trying to spark whatever controversies that comes, I would hope somebody would ask me about it. Like, what was your intention? And that's just not what happened from people who I would expect it of, I guess I should say. And so I'm airing that disappointment. I won't harp on it. I'm glad to see that the world has moved on. We probably are going to be the last people to talk about it. Network to Code is going to move on, is going to build a good product. I hope Stretch is successful in maintaining Netbox as something, because I'm sure most of the people who are listening have either used it or tried it or, have considered it somewhere in the course of their.
Absolutely.
Here's a good question, and this might be worth talking about. Pete asks, do you see it different than the recent Amazon fork of Elastic, having a company take an open source project for their own commercial benefit? Okay, so this is a more complicated discussion. And so when I say that, I don't see it being any different whatsoever. And you can have the sentiment about whether or not that's a good thing or not. But here's the cold, hard truth. You write a project that's open source, you are giving it to the world. The moment it leaves your hand, it is no longer under your control. If you don't want a company doing that, then you can't release it under that license. If it's a licensing issue, we've got to come up with a license that stops that from happening. But under our current licensing schemes, there's not protection for you as a creator for some other company taking your product and using it to create a product. In fact, it happens all the time quietly. We were talking about this, Tony, the other day as we were kind of getting ready for the show.
Yep, absolutely.
How many actual TCP IP stacks are there out there? The answer is probably not that many. Most people are using some open source stack. They're pulling it. They may not be continuing it in an open source fashion. They're pulling it, they're giving credit, and then they're putting it in their proprietary product, and they're making gobs of money off of it, and the original creators get nothing. That's the nature of open source. Like when you put it out there, you're making it available for people to do exactly that. The only requirement is that you give credit to the original author. Like that's it. So
yeah, and the same thing said with OpenSSH and OpenSSL. I see that all the time. Even in networking products, there'll be a one little subtext at the bottom of a book somewhere. This uses OpenSSH library.
Yeah, exactly. And so do the people from OpenSSH get money for that because of the fact that they got dropped into like every firewall product on the planet? No. They don't, because they released it as an open source product because that's what they wanted. They were sharing their code. It's the whole free as in beer, right? Like that's the whole idea is it's out there and it's free to use and someone can take it and make it a commercial product. They can do that. If you don't want to, then license it different. I know it sounds really harsh, but like when DigitalOcean released this to the world, right? Because and let's take it back a step, just one more step to talk about the nature of this. Stretch didn't write this on his own time, and I'm sure he's contributed plenty on his own time. So I'm not saying none of it was contributed on his time, but a lot of it was done as part of his job at DigitalOcean. If anybody has a claim to it, DigitalOcean has a claim to it. And if DigitalOcean has a claim to it, was it right for Stretch to leave and go to Network to Code and kind of take all of the development with him and the lead there? You know, if the answer for that is yes, then how is the answer wrong for Network to Code to take and fork it and do something different with it? Because Network to Code had nothing to do with the original creation of it. They just saw a great tool and they wanted to further it and use it to enhance their business. They were going to make a profit off of it. And so, like, I don't see a big difference there. And I think we're again going back to the idea that Stretch is liked, as he should be. And we want to protect him. But it's not the way open source works. Like, if it was disinterested parties, I don't think anyone would care as much. I think it's because it's Stretch, and it's because it's a tool that we've all fallen in love with and can't believe is free. So, anyway, let's see. Sorry, that was a bit of a soapbox.
I know you can't get down off of that. Just go. Well, anyway. Here's some validation for some of my points. Ever watch the boot sequence of a lot of company products like Cisco? Exactly. GPL banners show up quite often. Of course they do. They're all using open source code. Many of them are running Linux as the primary operating system. This is underneath the stupid thing. Like, they didn't make Linux. They sure are making money on stuff that runs it. And, you know, here, most of networking, especially firewalls, are built on an amazing amount of open source code. Linux isn't everything. And that's kind of my point. So anyway, now that I've gone down that rabbit hole and I've depressed everybody or made everyone went away. I feel like you need to take a breather.
I'm good. I got my whiskey.
Enjoy. Yeah, let's do this demo. I'm really anxious to get this going because of last week, how embarrassed I felt. But
you didn't need to be embarrassed.
But we can all rejoice in success. And so let's do this, and that'll allow you to get those winners up for the final trivia.
All right, so I'm gonna let you run, Tony, and I'm gonna just peer to the background and start communicating with some people. So it is all yours.
Very cool. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for hanging in. I don't know if everyone who has joined us this week was with us last week. Last week, I had big plans of bringing you this really, really, really awesome lab that I was doing, which is using Zerotier in EVE-NG to join two separate EVE-NG servers lab topologies. And now what I have on the screen is a very, very simplified version, but you could imagine on the left side of the lab, maybe 20 or 30 routers, and on the right side, maybe another 20 or 30 routers. And we can use Zerotier as a layer 2 mesh cloud in between any of the endpoints. It doesn't have to just be two, right? This is very much a multi-point situation. So we can have any number of spokes, if you will. But it's full mesh, so it's not a spoke. So anyhow, I struggled to get this working last week, and I wanted to tell everyone, I did say in Network Collective Slack that I was going to announce when I found the problem, and it was about midnight that night after last week's stream. I found the problem. This VM here, let me see if I can get my drawing thing open. I cloned this VM over to this one. And when you clone things in a virtual world, it even clones things like MAC addresses. So what I was doing was on a layer 2 segment, basically sending an ARP to myself. And that's why I was never getting a reply. So very good. So once I recognized that, I hard coded some MAC addresses into the interface of each of these guys, this one here and this one here. And I was able to immediately ARP and immediately send some pings across my network. So it worked fantastic. And so this brings me back to what I originally wanted to show. What I have here is a route server. This is a Linux image, Linux VM running an EVE-NG, and I uploaded the entire RIPE IPv4 BGP table from Europe, which is from 2016, I think. It's an image of the entire BGP table, a snapshot from a moment in time. And with a tool like a BGP Simple, which is a Perl script that I run on here, I'm able to peer BGP between another host and itself. And what it does is it packages all those BGP NLRIs that it's reading out of a file. It packages them up as updates and sends them over the wire as a BGP peer, as BGP update messages. And so what we're going to see is that populate into my router. And what I wanted to do is kind of offer sort of global BGP table as a service for anyone who wanted to start labbing. So all you have to do is get your Zerotier layer 2 bridge up and running, join to my network here, my Zerotier network, which I can kind of show you how that works. And then you just need to peer from here straight to my router. And you will also receive the routes. Now, right before this stream, I was really putting it to the test. I tried to send the whole table over here, and we got to about prefix 204.0.0.0, and then this guy ran out of memory. So there's definitely needs to be some tuning, and I definitely need to up the memory on that guy. I think this VM has 4 gigs, but apparently not enough allotted. So I just need to take a little deeper look. But I did actually want to show that this is a functional lab. So let's do that. Let's jump on the command line. I'll clear these lines off the screen. And I'll start with what I'm calling my route reflector. I haven't decided if I was going to do this eBGP or iBGP and do route reflectors or not. So the naming and the topology and architecture might change. But, whoop, I actually didn't mean to do that. I have this console open right here at the bottom of the screen. I have the text kind of big. I hope you can see it. And that's this one here. And this one on this side is this guy right here. Now my layer 2 bridge, Zerotier layer 2 bridge is up and functional. There was nothing wrong with that last stream. That was actually perfectly fine. And the Linux bridging that I did under the hood under EVE-NG here also worked fine. Everything worked fine last week. I had duplicate MAC addresses, which is just not something I even thought of until I took a better look at the PCAPs. Okay, so just wanted to show you sort of what we look like here. Show IP interface brief. I have one interface, which is right here. That's 10.255.0.1, and that's on a /16. And then my upstream is 10.1.1.1. And this route server is 10.1.1.2. They are peered with each other, I do believe. Show IP, let me see, show IP BGP summary. I have only one peer, so I'm only peered between my router and the route server. And if I check my BGP table, that's okay. I'll move on over here while we wait for that command to work. And here, show IP interface brief. So I have only one interface here. That's 10.255.0.2, and that's DHCP. So I'm actually running a DHCP server here. The idea was I was trying to come up with a way that I could run global BGP table as a service with zero hands-on. So I wouldn't actually have to let people into the peering session and find out, hey, what's your IP address? What's your peering IP address? Because I don't want to manage it. So if you can just join the layer 2 bridge, put your IP address, your interface as IP address. I'll be handing out IP addresses here, and that's exactly what we have. And we should be able to ping 10.255.0.1, ping to the other side. That was very quick. I don't know if you guys saw that. Very, very quick. All right, here we are. So show IP BGP. So we take a look at the table. I only loaded in about, I don't know, not a lot, about 100,000 entries from the table. So not a lot. As you can see, I'm just paging through and I'm still in the first octet is just 1. So I got a whole bunch in there, not the full table because I crashed the router the first time. And so what I'm going to do is just peer these two guys. Guys, this is basic. This is going to be eBGP, basic eBGP. I'm just sort of proving this as a what do I want to say? Proof of like a concept. What's the word? Proof of concept. Yeah, thank you. All right, proof of concept. So let's take a look at our BGP here. I'll start with our client show run section. You guys won't believe how terrible my Cisco typing has been since I haven't been on routers every day and have stopped studying for the CCIE. So expect plenty of typos. So it looks like for the client, I have minimum commands, right? I just want to peer to the upstream. I'm running 65535 as my local AS, and I'm pairing with 64908, which should be the upstream, what I'm calling the route reflector, even though it's not going to be IBGP. And does anyone in the chat know why this is familiar? 64908. Let you guys think about it for a minute. So let's peer downstream. Let's go from what I'm calling the route reflector, even though it's eBGP, down to the client. I want to see that peer come up, and then I want to see some routes show up in this BGP table. So show IP BGP should have nothing in there right now. All right, so conft router BGP 64908, and I want to do neighbor 10.255 0.2. Remote AS 65535, and they are only one hop away because they're layer 2. They're connected via layer 2, so we don't need to do eBGP multi-hop or anything, and I'm not setting any outbound metrics or BGP attributes. So let's take a look. There we go, and I'm starting to get those prefixes off from the global table. These are all real ASs. They're coming from a real table. Obviously, you see my local AS from the router that I'm peering through, 64908. Let me know when you know why this is significant, 64908. And yeah, so I mean that was pretty basic and pretty simple. There's really not much more to it. But this is exactly what I wanted to demonstrate. So what I hope to do is do a. There you go. Ray's got it. He knows. That's my CCIE number. It says it right there. See, it says 64908. Something to do with nerd creds. That's right. Thank you, Jeff Fry. Welcome to the stream, too. So I think I've beat Zerotier into the ground with how that works already. But maybe what I can do is SSH into this even GVM and actually talk about the bridging between this guy and Zerotier, because that's really the magic under the hood. It's really just bridging a couple of interfaces on both ends that allows you to bring your lab topology over a Zerotier network, right? Which is tunneling your traffic. So if I come over here, this is 58. I'll go to my Google Cloud Platform, 58. And I'll try to make this text nice and big for everybody. Takes a moment to connect. All right. That might still be hard to see. That's okay. I'll up it one more time. Very, very large. All right. Okay, everyone's there. So what do I want to see? So if I do like IP link, I'm going to see what I have here. These are the interfaces that are connected to my device. This is the router's interfaces. It has 4 interfaces. This is the Linux server. And if I do bridge, bridge control. And I want to do show. So here's my Zerotier interface. When you install Zerotier, it gives you a virtual interface. This is one end of the Zerotier full mesh tunnel. And then this interface right here, VUNL011, is the interface of my router of that CSR 1000V. And so what I've done is I've bridged them together on this cloud interface, which is this guy right here. So if we were to actually draw this out just to make it a little bit less imaginary, it would be as if I actually had a Zerotier interface here, Zerotier. This one is actually called PNet. I'm trying to draw with the mouse, and they would be connected like that. And when any packets come into this interface are actually bridged between this guy and the Zerotier, then it gets encapsulated, tunneled, and sent out. So it's really, really cool. It's super simple. And if everyone's seen my Zerotier demos, setting up Zerotier VPN between 2 nodes is like the simplest thing you can do. And even doing this, bridging layer 2 between nodes is a perfect opportunity for stretching your labs So really what I think the use case for this is, let me take my ink off the screen. The use case for this is, and why I kind of thought of it, was let's say you're labbing at home and you have EVE-NG maybe running on your workstation in front of you, or maybe you have a little always-on workstation at home, and you need to run some of the stuff for the new labs. You need to run DNAC, you need to run Cisco ICE, you need to run any of these other large, let's take Cisco, for example, large Cisco images that are on the new certification exams. You can host those up in Google Cloud, and using something like the Zerotier Layer 2 bridge, just turn on your Google Cloud whenever you want, and it'll actually tunnel back to your EVE-NG at home, connecting your one virtual lab that maybe you use all the time with routers and switches and hosts and things, up to those large images that you just spin up whenever you need them. So it's just one way to do it. Also, another thing I was thinking was, when I was doing my studies, whether it was CCNP or CCIE, I always wanted to find a labbing buddy. And I think that's always sort of been a dream for people chasing certifications, being able to find someone who's at your pace and that you guys can lab together. And what I found is that search is actually really hard. And even most people try to do it and they set out and have good intentions, hey, I'll make a lab for you, you make a lab for me. It's really hard to sort of keep up that work. Everyone has their own lives. But how easy would it be if I just had my lab and my buddy had his lab and we just joined them like this, and whenever I wanted to, I could lab on his lab. Whenever he wanted to, he could lab on my lab. There's so many different ways we can leverage Zerotier, but I think using this layer 2 bridge will enable us to sort of open it up to everybody. So I'm actually going to try and log in right now to Zerotier. I'm going to post my Zerotier server network node in the chat. If you guys want to jump on it, I'll see you there. I'll approve you because it still has to be approved. And then if you stand up in a VM that has DHCP, you'll at least get an IP address. So right now I don't have it all automated, but I'd love to see if anyone wants to try it. So let me get logged into Zerotier, get my credentials, and that'll be the last thing we do on this demo. Log in. My credentials are in a different browser. Okay, copy that one and copy that one. Don't worry, it's still password 1. I guess I could have done this from the command line, actually. Oh, why didn't I just do it that way? Here you go. I think I can just copy that. If any of our people out there running Zerotier, now remember, this is a layer 2 tunnel. So the best way to do that is to install it, set it up so you don't get a managed IP, and then I'll see you pop in here. And if you did everything right, it'll allow you to jump right in. Sejan brings up a word of caution, which is allowing everyone to join your network is almost as dangerous as revealing your Reddit username. I should stress that as a word of caution. If you are someone who intends to let people lab on your gear, make sure they are your friends, make sure they are your family, make sure they are people that you know and trust, and that can be held accountable. They can wreak havoc within your lab. Lucky for me, this is absolutely a playground. So, do whatever you want, but I don't think you can do much.
I would trust internet strangers before I trusted my friends anywhere near a machine on Zerotier.
But yeah, so I don't have this one as open, right? It's still marked as private. So if anyone tries to join, I will see a notification that a new machine is joined. So at least I'll have that accountability. If this was a true BGP full table as a service, I would probably mark it public, and then I would burn this account and pretend like I didn't own it anymore. So there you go. So that's the lab. This was just really just a follow-up from last week, because last week, this is what I intended to do, and we ended up troubleshooting a little bit. So I hope everyone enjoyed, and let me know what you guys do with Zerotier. This was just one of the creative things that I came up with. And you know what? Maybe I'll make a little how-to video that'll jump in behind the scenes on how to do the bridging and things, so people can do this on their own.
Nice.
That's all I got, Jordan.
Nice. Yeah. I am trying desperately to get a hold of Carl. I sent him a message on Slack. I sent him a Twitter DM. I hit him up in the chat, and I haven't gotten the acknowledgement. So Carl, if you are out there, my friend, let me know how to get in touch with you. We'll give him just one more minute. And I will say this, that if he doesn't make it, what we'll do is we'll have you go head to head with with Kevin, and we'll have an empty spot for Carl.
Like an empty chair, like a chair that's just empty and we have to dust it off. It's like, hey, we got that other thing that I can do with who.
We can do that to give Carl one more minute.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Let me get my image ready up here.
With who.
You know whom? Is it who or whom? God, my wife would slap me if she saw this.
I am the worst person. The whom thing I don't get right ever. So as third place, I'll step up. All right. I'll take you up on that. How can I get a hold of you?
He is Grave Rose on Twitter. I don't know if it's a unique spelling or anything, but you might be able to find it.
All right. I'll see what I can do. What is this? Now I'm going to take full disclaimer here. You ready? I can pull this up.
Yeah, let's do it. Yep.
All right. I'm doing full disclaimer in that I had nothing to do with this. This was all Mr. Tony himself. Because
this is just like you know what? Sometimes I'm sitting here, it's the end of the workday, and I just get like an idea. And it's one of those things where it's on the verge of crazy and brilliant, and you just run with it. No matter what happens, we're going to come out the other side. So this was one of those things. And so I did. So I made this little graphic, I made a little game, and it's going to be a ton of fun. So and you know what? Actually, I made this graphic before I came up with like a clever tagline for it. So that's when sort of implementation got ahead of the marketing team, which is I should have called it "Whose Dome is Whose" instead of which is which. You know what I'm saying? Anyone got me a nah?
You have access to the sound effects.
I don't have access to the sound effects. It doesn't work for me.
You think Zerotier doesn't work? We spent all this time talking about Zerotier and it doesn't work for you?
You know what it is? Look, you know what I'm going to tell you? Let's just take a pause on this. I'm going to tell you what it is. Who was I talking with over? Oh, it's Chris Cummings. I messaged with Chris Cummings over in chat when we had him on last time. And he's like, dude, something's up with Jordan's internet. I'm like, dude, I totally know. And he's like, no, seriously, everything's fine for me. I'm like, everything's fine for me too. It's Jordan's internet, seriously. Seriously, Jordan, I think we are like maxing out your connection and I can't get inbound to you. I can't send packets to you to activate the soundboard, social media, all of the stuff that we do behind the scenes to run this stream. And here we are, two networking guys, and I just don't have time. You know what? This is perfect. We will troubleshoot this next time, and we'll get Chris Greer on, all right? And we'll work this problem.
Hold on.
That's our problem. Next live stream.
Hold on. This stream is a fraction of my available bandwidth. This stream,
I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
Complicated nonsense you're coming up with is garbage. This is not overcapacity. This is Zerotier not working for you.
What are you working with over there?
I got a gig linked to my house.
A gig? What do you got? What do you got? Upload.
Upload is not. But what does upload matter to you?
You're uploading all of this. This is all coming back out.
No. I understand that. You said you could not get to me, which would be download from my perspective. To get to my machine, to click a button to let it know to play a sound on my machine. There's no upload to you for that.
I don't know if I'm making it to you or if what you're sending me isn't making it back. All right, we'll move on with this, and we'll tackle that a different day.
Like somehow my network was the one that's deficient. And so he knows. I've talked about it multiple times.
Jordan's network.
That I run a simple network at home. I don't have the overly complicated, nonsense of a lab at home like Tony has.
I think we're burning out like your connections per second or something over there. Is
that what it is?
On your device. Yeah, on your Soho device, whatever it is.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right. What are you getting on with your shiny dome there?
All right. So what we have here is whose dome is whose. So over in the chat, can anybody tell me whose dome is whose? These could be anybody's, but they are people you know. So I don't know. I haven't been following Twitter or anything if I got any replies back. So what I wanted to do is kind of like walk through a little reveal of what we have. Does anyone have a guess on the leftmost person? Leftmost person, whose dome is whose? So who is that on our leftmost? This is a networking person. Anybody?
I mean, I know, but I'm not going to say.
You know, of course you know. I wanted to see what's happening in the chat. I know it's just a few seconds delayed.
Yes, they're all Tony. I like that one.
Trick question. They're all Tony. Different shirts.
They're all Tony. I mean, it could be. It's scary how similar the whole. Somebody says Vent Surf.
Okay, that's a good one. Good one. Yeah, it is networking people. So not a bad guess. I see 3 bald wise men. You know that's right.
No.
Oh, I should have got Kevin Myers in there.
Don't do that.
All right, I'm going to do the reveal on numero uno. Let's see if I can get this back down. There we are.
Oh, although small correction.
Yeah, I know. So let me take that. I have made a mistake. Someone hit the mistake button. I have made a mistake. Pete Lumbus's Twitter account is Pete CCDE, not CCDC. So this is, again, when implementation gets ahead of marketing and also like peer review. And so we run into these problems. But there you go, Mr. Pete Lumbus, everybody. And the next one.
Let's
see. Wait for the thing to show up. Zoom out.
That's a great picture. So what prompted this, Tony? What prompted this?
Hey, I just wanted to I just saw something in chat, so I wanted to bring it up. I'll tell you what prompted. First of all, Ray Sousey? CCDC is a collegiate cyber defense competition, which is exactly why I habitually typed CCDC as Pete's Twitter handle, likely. Even though it's not. This is a CCDC is a competition I participated in 2 years in a row. So it was a lot of fun. And actually, for my area, I'm going to do an interview with those guys next month. So I'll be tweeting that out when it goes live for CCDC. And so when I was typing Pete's name out, my fingers just hit it automatically. So Susie.
So are you
Ray Susie?
So you told me that since you got the specs and had the facial hair.
Let me tell you about that. Yeah. So I posted a picture of me as soon as I got these, and it was just like an overhead and was just like a yay or nay thing. And a bunch of people were just, leaving comments and posting and stuff. And then I think Pete had posted a picture of him maybe sitting on his couch or something in his house from nearly the same angle that I had posted. I wish I had that tweet. I would have pulled it up on screen. And no kidding, like we looked pretty close. We looked pretty close. I had my full beard. I had my upper lip there. I had the full beard, and it was pretty close. And then it just sort of became a joke that, bald white guys with glasses and beards sort of all look the same. So,
well, I think
so. It's not true.
I think
someone would have something to say with that.
I think we should ask the source, though. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
Mr. Lumbus. Mr. Lumbus.
We do all look pretty similar. I'm not gonna lie there.
It's close, alike. But it's not much. I had to put these glasses on just for this bit because I knew Pete was wearing glasses.
So
it's one of those where you're like, you look nothing alike, but like at 20 yards.
Yeah, it's the same person.
A little bit. You're like,
I will say that if I was looking at the back of you from 30, 40, 50 feet away, I might get confused. A picture in front of me on Twitter? No, not going to happen. not even close to the same.
I think
we're edging on some isms here, right? Like, is there such a thing as what would it be? Follicle challenged. I'm not sure of the correct verbiage to put around this, but like, not all bald people look the same.
Right, the heat dissipation off of the massive computing process inside.
Is that what it is?
It's way more efficient this way.
See, my grandpa was bald too, and he always told me this was a solar panel for his sex machine.
Of course, yeah.
things I don't ever want to hear out of Grandpa's mouth.
Yeah, pretty much.
Grandpa never say sex machine. Just that's on the no list.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. Yeah, maybe because it's a genetic thing, and my maternal father was bald as well. But I started going bald like 25, 26. Yeah, by like 27, it was pretty thin. By 29, I didn't. I was trying to like keep it, and it should have been gone long ago.
I think I had like a 3 or 4 year head start on you. It started thinning at like started thinning at like 19. I was like, well, if I like put some floof in it and kind of like get it just right. There's like a 2-week window after a haircut where it looks good, and then immediately you're like, why does my hair look like garbage? Oh, it's because there's no hair there. I think I started buzzing it. Jordan mentioned earlier, like you get like the number one, you just kind of do all the way around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You go all the way around.
I started doing that in like 21, 22.
Wow. So actually, let's bring this back to CCDC, how I incorrectly put your Twitter handle in the image. How I knew I was going bald was at CCDC. It's a big media event, Raytheon's there, and there's photographers and stuff, and everyone's taking pictures, and there was a picture of me, and I was like crouched down at a desk looking at a laptop, and the picture was from the rear. And I was like, look at that bald guy. Looks just like me. Oh, crap. And I got to see like I was balding from the back. And I'm like, seriously? Nobody told me? Like, what friends are you? You guys let me just walk around looking like this? And so that's when it was after that when I initially buzzed it with whatever the longest one is on the cutter. Whatever that one is, a 6 or something.
You weren't willing to commit yet, but like
no, I wasn't willing to commit. I wasn't willing to commit, and then here's where my commit happened. It was a few years later, not many, maybe 1 or 2 years later. I had been doing this with maybe the number 6. Every so often I go around the head. It was Thanksgiving. We were at a remote Thanksgiving. All the family went to Florida, and we all got like 3 condos together. And we all had Thanksgiving remotely in Florida. None of us live in Florida.
Hold on. And, vacation together, Thanksgiving. Yeah. I don't recognize.
Yeah. It was a weird thing. Anyhow, I was trying to groom myself up for Thanksgiving dinner. And we were on the beach. So I said, and my sister-in-law was there. And I was like, hey, well, can you just buzz me real quick? And, we'll just let it blow in the sand. It won't be a problem. And she comes over here and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, Tony. And I'm like, what? What'd you do? And she's like, I should be able to fix it. And I'm like, no, seriously. Like, I was not ready to prove to the world that I was truly bald. And it was that moment that I took the guard off of the thing and went like bare metal all the way around. And since then, that's how I've been rocking it. But it was from that mistake. And I didn't want to talk to her the rest of Thanksgiving. I was so pissed.
I do think, going the first buzz was easier than accepting the fact that I was going down a level. Like, I didn't start as high as Tony did. I started on like a 2 or a 1 or something like that. And that was okay. and then being like, no, this needs to be a little bit more Bruce Willis. that was the like, yep, it's real. There's not a little bit of hair there. There's nothing. We got to sand it down. That was the big step.
So we've established that not all people who now, as I'll put it, as Kevin Myers said here, he says he did not renew his follicle license. So those who have not retained their follicle license, we've established that you all don't look the same. But when you put something over your faces, you do look an awful lot alike. I'm not gonna lie. When somebody said it's Tony in all three, it was like, yeah, it really could be. So there was a third. Do you have that picture up?
Oh, I just clicked off of it. Yeah, I'll put it up here again. Yes, I'll just put it up here. Loading. It's loading.
It's thinking about it.
Yeah. All right. Yep. So there is there.
Is your computer,
Jordan, if you want to
overheating again? You were kind of. Oh, there we go. It's up.
That's just the way it is, man.
Just the way it is.
New computer around here. So yeah, there is a third. Anyone take guesses on the third?
Who is it?
Anyone?
Who is it, Tony?
Is Jordan? Is it Jordan Martin? Who is it? Who's under there? Who is under? Nope, not Jordan Martin. Not yet.
Not yet.
But
it'll happen eventually.
He's coming. He's almost a member of the club.
Actually,
I tell you what. If you want to know who this is, I'm not going to reveal it here on stream.
What?
You have to go and follow me on Twitter. I have a tweet coming out at 10 p.m., a scheduled tweet with the full reveal of, it's 10 minutes from now. And you get to see who this is.
All right. Well,
it's not a networking person. It's not a networking person. That's it.
So that's it. You get teased. So Pete, man, how are things at NVIDIA, man?
It's pretty good.
No?
A little mental health hiatus. I think we've all been feeling a little extra strain these last 362 days, Jordan?
2 more days.
Yeah.
363.
Yeah.
So this is week 2 of 3 of my little mental break hiatus. Somebody asked me the other day, how did you get 3 weeks off? And I said, I'm going to take 3 weeks or burn a bunch of things down. And so I took 3 weeks off.
Wait, we saw what happened at OVH yesterday. Was that you?
That was not me. I, in fact, cannot fly to France right now. So couldn't have been me.
Wait,
I'm innocent.
I think there's a story there I need to hear.
No, I'm just saying, like, the world has ended. How do I fly to France?
I thought you meant like France has banned you. Like
there's
anyone else but Pete Lumbus.
I can't fly to France right now until, my legal, restrictions are up or something.
I wish it was that interesting. It is way more white bread than that. No, so it's been a lot of naps, and highly recommend everybody take some mental health time.
Yeah.
And I think the other part of this for me is, the kid's still in daycare. So that means like 8 to 5, just do nothing time.
Nice.
Work on the life technical backlog. But no, it's good, man. We're doing some interesting things. I think you'll see some announcements here in the next couple of months. I'm not going to shill too much. I will make a quick plug that I am hiring a technical writer now. If anybody's looking. Ooh. We're really looking for writing chops over everything else. So if you're technical and want to do something a little different, or if you're technical and new in industry and looking to skill up, but you're a pretty good writer, hit me up. DMs are open.
Kevin wants it.
But it's been good, man.
Kevin Myers has hired me.
A technical writer is something at my company we are always looking for. It just seems like every project needs like that professional documentation, updated all the time, graphics, everything. And it just seems like it's a hard role to keep someone in. Very few people are like technical writers for the long haul. It's normally like a step in their journey. And It's a really important job. Documentation is super important, but I too know that, like, you know, a couple of times a year we put out a rec for, you know, tech writer. Need a tech writer.
Well, I think Kevin has this one nailed down, though. I mean, he writes good. That's what he says. So.
He write good.
He write good.
I think I remember Kevin went to the school for people who want to read good and do other stuff good too.
Yeah.
Was that?
He's proud of that one.
But it wasn't a school for ants.
This was the life-size version. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting you say that, Tony. I do think that technical writing for a lot of folks is a step along the journey. And I think a lot of it just has to do with what is that specific technical writing role. So our tech writers end up having like a ton of leeway, which is good and bad. The good is like you can learn a lot, do a lot, and figure it out. The bad is like, hey, here's our QS implementation. And you're like, okay, how do I use it? And I'm like, we don't know. That's what you're the doc writer. Like you go write it down, figure it out. And so it's a lot of like hitting things with hammers in the lab until it works. But also just trying to give them a chance to grow and get more technical. So some of our writers have, been kind of going chapter by chapter and being like, okay, I'm going to rewrite this chapter and I'm going to understand all the features and all of the things. We're going to make a basic chapter and an advanced chapter, and we're going to standardize all these outputs. And, I think that's a lot more, that ends up being a lot more engaging than just like, I take the requirements from the engineers and I give them to the customers because the engineers can't talk to the customers kind of thing. But it's the needs for every company and every organization is different. And we've really tried to find like a middle ground where we can have writers who are technical, or we have technical people who are writers, and they both, they do like the arms meme thing.
Teamwork meme.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Pete, I'm glad to hear that you're getting some time off. I am a little jealous. I definitely did not plan well because I planned a trip very early last year. We went to Disney for 2 weeks in February, the germ capital of the world, right as, a world pandemic was starting to happen. That was well planned, but managed to navigate there without, dying, which was great. And then I have another long trip of which I saved my remaining days for, which is at the end of this year. So I got to navigate basically like a year and a half with all of 4 vacation days. So I am looking forward to come September. I'm going to be checking out for a while. So I am looking forward to that. Did not plan that well, but Pete, man, it's really good to see you.
There was another good tweet. Another good tweet I saw that was like, I hope everybody's prepared for their entire company to take from July until question mark off. Like everybody's going to get vaccinated and the whole company is just going to turn into a ghost town.
It's true with vaccinations happening as quickly as they are in some places, at least here, that's the way it feels. Like we're not long. And yeah, July is completely reasonable, where I think that if you're investing in stocks right now and you don't like the volatility that comes with GameStop, it might be time to start looking at airlines and hotels, because I think they're going to start doing a little bit better here in just a few months. If you're playing the midterm game.
I thought it was really clever, and I was like, you know what? It's not just going to be airlines. It's going to be domestic travel. That's what's going to pop. I'm going to look at Southwest.
Oh, Southwest.
Southwest. Yeah. Southwest is up like 50 or 100% since it's like March 2020 low. And I was like, well, clearly I'm the slow thinker of the room. Yeah. I missed that pop.
TripAdvisor to the moon. I love it, Preston. Oh man, I own GameStop again. I'm in. It's crazy again, and it's just as nerve-wracking as it was the first time. For anyone who was following, it had a drop today of $150 over the course of about 5 minutes. I've never seen anything like it before. It was absolutely insane. There's no logic. I mean, this is
two circuit breakers on their way down.
It stopped 7 times over the course of a half hour today.
Amazing.
Yeah, like the volatility is just, I mean, like this is not investing. So please don't ever take these words as advice for where you should put your money. But man, if you want some
daily
adrenaline,
range is 172 to 348. So if you've ever wanted to play craps but never actually go to Vegas,
this is it. This is gambling of the highest order. There's no question about it. Here's the thing. It had $150 drop over minutes, and it's still finished in the green. It was up like, I don't know, it was up, I think, like $20 for the day. By the end of the day, it's just like there's no rhyme or reason or whatever, but it is a wild roller coaster. So if you need some adrenaline and you've got a little bit of disposable cash, let me tell you, there's no better place right now than just throwing it into the dumpster fire that was GME and watching it go. Wow. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. There's all kinds of theories. I don't know if you've all have spent any time on Wall Street bets, but let me tell you, that is, I think I talked about this the last time in January when this came around, but man, is that a community. That is, if throwing money in a dumpster fire appeals to you, like hanging out in a dumpster fire might also appeal to you, in which case go hang out in Wall Street bets, because it's about that. It is a little crazy, but yeah, everyone seems to absolutely know what's going to happen, and none of them are right. Not a single one of them. So it's kind of fun and entertaining. All right, Pete, man, it was really, really good to talk to you. We got to get you on for a show again sometime. So let's stay in touch. Let's let you get through, your mental health and not add anything that even looks something like work. But once you get back, let's chat and we'll find something we can talk about. That'll be fun.
I do want to invite Pete on at a time. I don't know if you have the controls there. Are you able to put Pete and I side by side?
No, I don't have a scene for that.
I definitely wanted to do the side by side.
I'm sorry, buddy. Pete's doing his best. Here, let me duck out of the.
Is that as close as we can get? Let me see.
That's as close. That's what you got.
All right. I'm trying to take a screenshot. Can I take it? Yes.
I mean, I can flip back and forth really fast.
No. I really wanted to do like the thing with him like this, where we make a
heart out of your.
It's like we're two different sizes there.
All right,
that's gonna take some practice.
Yeah, I know. There's rehearsals at 7, so we'll do it next time.
I won't be late this time.
All right, guys. Oh, all right, Pete. It was nice catching up, and we'll talk soon, man.
Thanks, y'all.
See you later. All right, we've got our trivia still to do, and it's already 10 o'clock, so we got to get moving, man.
Hit it. I'm ready.
I'm ready. We've had our contestants on. Carl, I found out, had to go. He was taking his car to the shop. I think Kevin sent that to me. So,
all right. Plausible excuse.
So we've got Grave Rose, and I am sorry, man. What is your name? I don't know your name. I know your handle, and that's it.
My name's Sean, Sean, spelled the proper way,
Spelled the proper way. Sean.
Yeah.
I'll put that in. We're updated. At least we got your first name. And Kevin Myers, who listen, I don't even know why I invited you on, Kevin. What's up with that name? You're muted? Are you muted? Do I have you muted? It might be me.
Yeah, I was doubly muted. Now I'm
there
good.
You go.
Yeah.
L2 DCI to Mars. Listen, I'm all in.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with it.
Yeah, I know. You're like, let's just do it.
Well, you figure they've got a high latency protocol to transmit that stuff, so this is just another overlay.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to have IP over the high latency transport protocol, and somebody's going to be motion from Earth to Mars. It's going to happen.
Very nice. So I definitely put the Kahoot screen up there without covering the pin. I don't know if anyone noticed that or not, but so anyway, we might have some stragglers along for this game, but it is what it is. So you guys ready? I mean, head-to-head competition. It's only 5 questions. It's not long at all.
Do I have a pin?
Yeah, ready as it'll ever be.
I put it in the message to you.
Oh, hang on.
Does that mean I win by default?
Ah.
Sean,
I'll
take it.
Congratulations, you beat Kevin. Because Kevin has a stupid name and it's done. Good job.
Jordan's pin is still in transit from Mars. It's still in the underlay.
Well, if you send it over email and you're running an Exchange server, let me know. I'll find it for you.
All right.
Definitely not gonna be me running the Exchange server.
No, not a chance, man. That's for other people. All right, here we go. Yeah, we'll get some music going. We're getting further into our playlist today. We took longer on our first game.
Sweet.
I don't know if you've even heard these yet. All right, let's get this thing going. Extra shiny domes. Not Sean though, man. It doesn't apply to him.
Just me, Pete, and a mystery person.
All right. What type of IPv6 address is that?
It's a good one.
I got that.
That's the kind. It's a good one.
Look at that. 2 people who know IPv6. I love it. All right. Let's get started.
Missed by that much.
No, it's all good.
Ooh.
Wow, someone's clicking fast on that. Somebody have this like stored. Kevin, is that like...
Yeah.
No, I went the wrong way.
I was going to guess it too.
All right.
Let's see.
Sean, you're not out of it, man. He's starting to pull away a little bit.
No, still within shooting range.
Yeah, you got it. You can come back. All right. Ooh. 1938.
Wow.
What were they doing in 38?
I'm gonna go.
Whoa. You both answered very, very quickly, and you both were wrong. I think because they were a grocery store.
What's up? You got horses and typewriters and Nokia. What's up with these questions?
Right?
I've got to throw you some curveballs. If I just ask you, like, networking stuff, it's like a certification exam. What fun is that?
Yeah.
All right. That's 3 of 5. 2 more questions.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one.
Damn. Been out of OSPF for too long.
All right. I don't know if that. I don't know.
I don't know.
Kevin,
I don't know. I mean, it'd be a real shame if Kevin's network went down.
Let's see. What does it take to?
What's your IP again?
Terrible backup.
Yeah.
We've got fast reroute at 50 milliseconds between like the kitchen and the lab.
All right. Last question, guys. Here we go.
Red Panda?
It is a red panda. I learned this.
Panda? Wow.
Sean, you're the one who got it. Oh.
What? Yeah.
Oh.
I'm all over that like a fat kid on a Smartie, buddy.
Red Panda?
What's funny is it was originally a Firebird.
Yeah. All right.
It was, yeah. But I don't think I have enough to beat Kevin. Let's see.
Oh, so close. So close.
What's the final?
We're stretching out to the Mars. Diamond hand.
99, buddy. 99.
Good game, Sean.
Yeah,
good one, Kev.
Guys. Well done all around. Wow. That was fun. That was really, really close. So Sean, I'm it's nice to meet you, man. You've been around. It's good to meet you. Yay. Kevin.
Yeah. It's glad to be on. Thanks again for having me on. I know we're kind of pushing past time here, but again, thanks.
We don't have any real stop, but I do like respecting other people's time. I mean, we could just go all night, but my wife may not enjoy that.
CSI Miami's coming up next, so stay tuned.
Wait a minute, did we end up on a network somehow?
Are we doing defer now? Like, are we blue team?
But you know what, Sean? I want to have you on for real as a guest because I want you to show off your site someday soon. Maybe sometime this month or next.
Absolutely love that.
All right.
Yeah, you know what? Let's ping each other and we'll kind of figure stuff out.
Sounds good.
Very cool. Awesome.
Kevin,
Excellent.
Sean, thanks guys.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sorry
Have a good
night. Late tonight.
Take care.
See you later.
Bye.
All right.
I think it's so funny that Kevin is just like back there playing trivia, knowing he's like cutting over 2/8s and like rerouting through Europe and like
you notice he's
totally got the tier 1 help desk on.
Yeah, he was in his office, which means he's working tonight.
He doesn't
care. And God knows what ISP he's,
yeah. I know. Could you imagine like his customer like, hey, I just saw you on YouTube playing a game. All right, paying you $400 an hour.
Nice. Nice.
All right. It's that time.
All right. It is that time. You ready? Let's do it. All right,
everybody. Welcome to Naked Hardware. This is the part of the show where we crack open a network appliance and show you the insides. We take a picture of the inside, we share it with you, and you try to guess what it is based on the circuitry alone. So first I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what last week's was. Well, crap, this was the answer. All right, that's okay. No, we're good. This was the answer. So last week's, I showed you this picture. And you know what? This was a tough one, guys. We didn't have a lot of submissions on this one. So image. And this was a tough one. And I even remember Jordan commenting on the skewed fan in the rear there.
No.
So I did my best to cover up some serial numbers and stuff, but I tried not to distort the image. And the answer was, where'd you go? There. Cisco UC540. All right. And this courtesy of Preston, Network Collective community member.
There it is. All right.
Oh, there it is. All right. That's how I'm playing a trick on everybody. And yeah, so we had a couple of guesses. So let's review those guesses. I have them here in answers, and I have them in winners. I have them as guest 1 and guest 2. So I need to know, I kind of need my co-host to weigh in on this one. I realize my desktop's a little laggy, but that's okay. Yeah,
we'll give it a second. I'll let you know when it's up.
No problem. I'm going to open both images and we'll kind of do like a side-by-side on them if I can.
Sure. What I have to do, what I'm gathering from this evening, Tony, is I really have to get on getting this PC cut over so that I can get you this thing with proper fans and... get you up to speed, because we're fighting some thermal challenges tonight, aren't we?
Stop mining on the computers we use for stream.
I made $25 this week, man. Come on.
All right, put it in the pot. So it looks like I have both images up. So it was a UC540, and why I say I need the co-host to weigh in is we only had 2 guesses this time. It was a tough one, and one person guessed was a UC560. And the other said a UC520. The answer was a UC540. So we kind of have a split, but I don't know what the difference in them is. This isn't my hardware. So I don't feel comfortable calling anyone a winner or calling them both losers. I'm not sure where we stand with that.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we just say they're both winners? Because at this point,
all right,
there's only 2 people who tried, and they definitely were close enough. To be within a model or two. It's the right box. It's the right kind of thing, and 20 versus 40. And it makes me feel better for saying, I don't know, I think it was like 1811 when it was really like an 1821 last week, a couple weeks ago. So, you know, you both win. We want winners.
Okay, very good. On the show.
Hit congratulations.
Yeah.
So,
well done. All right. And that's Marcel Templeman and Ray, if I say it correctly, Susie. Is that right? Go. That's the way I heard it.
Ray.
All right, very cool. Very good.
Marcel's watching.
But I see Ray in chat, so very awesome. So I'll reach out to you guys via the Network Collective Twitter account and get some info from you guys. We'll send you a swag bag. And very cool. And then I want to present to you what our Naked Hardware is for
Before
this
you do
week.
that. Before you do that, I just want to call this out. Jordan is the reason why Ray can't get a GPU. Listen, I paid through the nose for this stupid machine because of all these people who are Bitcoin mining. So I'm going to get a little bit back out of it before I just use it for its intended purpose, which is, to do this. And so that Tony can do this. So yes, Ray, I am, and I don't feel bad about it at all. Not even a little bit.
All right. Here is this week's image. I'm going to post it from the Network Collective Twitter account. That's where the official gameplay takes place. Please reply to the post with hashtag Naked Hardware. The instructions will be in the tweet. This is a fun one. You know why this is a fun one, guys? Because this is a brand new box, new to market, brand new box, never been seen before. So that's why this is very cool.
This one.
Yeah, so this is not like one of those old CCNA labs you had collecting dust in the closet. This is brand new equipment. So let's see what you guys can do. I'm going to post it. Good luck to everyone.
All right. Nice. Very, very nice. Well, Tony, I think it is time. We definitely, so we had, the funny thing about tonight is that we had a plan for somebody to come on that fell through. It happens, right? Like your schedules get whatever.
Yep.
And so initially I was like, we'll talk about the news a little bit. We'll play our game. We'll do whatever. It'd be about, 9:30. We'll be done. Here we are at 10:15 and rushing to finish up because it's like, oh, wait, that was fun. Hopefully everyone else thought it was fun and not just boring and us,
I really enjoyed having Pete on, a nice little surprise.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope we can get him on. The game was good. Good to see Sean again. So hopefully we can touch base with him and get him to share his project. He runs a really cool site. I want to share it with everyone as for one of our tool demos. So that'd be pretty cool.
No, just give the plug now. We'll definitely do a look, but it's TCP Dump 101, right? Is that
TCPDump101.com. That's right.
Yeah. So if you want to get a little preview before we bring Sean on to talk about it, I've never met Sean clearly as I asked him his name when he came on. So I've never met him. But I have heard of TCP Dump 101 before. So that's kind of cool. And so I'm excited to see what he's been working on.
Yeah. So it was, tonight was great, man. Tonight was great. I started off in a rush. I put out Pete's Twitter handle incorrectly. I pushed implementation ahead of marketing and peer review. Usual things happen. You know what I mean? I started the stream with no beer. My wife had to sneak in here and give me beer.
That was your biggest mistake, actually. You started the stream with no beer.
Well, one of the funny things was I contact Jordan, about 30 minutes before stream, and is like, I've been talking to Pete. We're going to have him on about this thing. Okay. And Jordan's like, okay.
Sure. Why not?
And then 5 minutes before stream, he's like, are you going to join me in the pre-planning and tell me what's going on this stream?
I would like to be prepared. I mean, apparently I needed a bald cap. I was not quite prepared for that. If you had given me a little more notice, I still would have been prepared because Amazon doesn't deliver that quickly.
It's okay. I have another game we can do.
Okay.
We'll do it next time.
Perfect. Sounds great. Another surprise that I'm going to find out about 3 minutes before we actually go live. Sounds great. Sounds great. All right. Well, everyone, if you stuck with us this long, thanks so much. It's always so much fun. We do appreciate you chiming in and doing this with us. It's the whole point. And so just a very, very sincere thank you for coming every week and participating. If you do like it, tell a friend. Try to get someone else here. It does help us, right? Like that's ultimately what we're trying to do. We're trying to get our name out there and get recognized as a good source to come have some fun, to learn some things about networking, and ultimately just continue to build a community because that's what Network Collective is all about. If you just happen to stumble across what we're doing,
You see that?
I don't see it. I'm talking.
In the comments. Oh. Preston Roberts got it probably from my automatic tweet.
Oh, there it is. If you just happen to stumble across what we're doing, you came here like, what the heck is this? You can find everything that we do at networkcollective.com. That's the place to go. Obviously, if you found us on YouTube, like and subscribe. You'll find out when we're on again. We try to be here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then we go to about 10 o'clock, right, of doing similar stuff all the time. We're working. If you were around a couple weeks ago when we had Chris Greer on, that was a really, really great session. We're working on getting him back on in the very near future. And then we are working on other guests. In fact, if you have people who you think would be awesome to see come on and do a demo of something they're working on, if you are working on something, you don't have to be the author of it. You don't have to be whatever, but if you're doing something cool that's worth demoing, hit us up. Like the whole idea is we want to expose cool things to this community. So please let us know. Let's see, social media at Net Collective PC on Twitter. Search for Network Collective on Facebook and LinkedIn. I think that's it. NetworkCollective.com. That's where you go. That's where you find everything else.
NetworkCollective.com. Yep.
All right, Tony. Well, fun as always, man.
Jordan, always a pleasure.
All right.
And don't forget, that's the end of Network Collective news break.
All right. And on that note.
Sorry, here we go.
And on that note, everyone have a good night. We'll see you next week.